Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you the second half of our Week 12 fantasy football starts and sits. We're here to help you make all the right decisions on who should be in your lineup, who you need to sit, and who's going to break your heart if you make the wrong decision. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right meow.
Gobble, gobble. Hey everyone, I am Justin. That is Kyle. He points at himself.
Oh yeah.
This is the Fantasy Football Upside.
It is.
Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. And today we are giving you the second half of our start sit questions for Sunday and Monday games of Week 12. Definitely check out our first half of our Week 12 start sits by clicking the link in the right up there in the corner and also in the description below. But also, we want to make sure you're aware that the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game has been moved from Thursday to Sunday. And we already did the matchups on that one for our Thursday game episode, so check that out in the description below as well. Kyle, what you got before we get rolling?
All right, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell, because subscriptions mean nothing if you don't have the bell. It notifies you when we upload the podcast, which is 5 days a week. So we're here to help you all week long, even if it's Thanksgiving week. That's right. We're still here grinding it out, helping you make the right decisions all through the whole week so that you're ready to go and dominate your league in Week 12. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them down below. We're always asking. Do you need assistance? And we're happy to provide it, guys. We want to help you get that championship. We love that drop, but we don't just love that drop. We also love to actually do this and help you guys. So let's dive in headfirst into the shallow end and knock out these matchups, see what we can do this week to dominate the league. All right. We've got right off the top, New Orleans at Denver. I'll take New Orleans. I'm actually going to sit Drew Brees and Jameis Winston.
Whoa.
Surprise, surprise, right? That's right.
Son of a gun, you.
Sly, right? Actually, so here's what it is, okay? I think you could start Taysom Hill in 2 QB and Superflex, or if he's still listed as a tight end on ESPN, which is not the case, I guess. I guess some people really complain.
Yeah.
But look, if you're playing fantasy football on ESPN, try some other platforms. ESPN is actually really terrible at fantasy football. The fact that they were literally the only entity that had him listed as a tight end still last week is abusive. Yeah. Tell you everything you need to know. Yeah. I realized who Taysom Hill is, though. This week, I figured out who he is.
I'm listening.
He is, oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name now. Drafted by Denver with McDaniels as the head coach. Tim Tebow. He is Tim Tebow. That's what he is. He's Tim Tebow. He's just as accurate. He runs the ball just as much. He's actually a tight end playing QB. He's Tim Tebow. He's also white and high thighs. Yeah. That's why he's Tim Tebow.
Like
and so Sean Payton, he's got his own Tim Tebow. All right, Latavius Murray is a flex because Alvin Kamara is a start. This is not the greatest matchup, and I would say that Latavius Murray is actually a flex with Taysom Hill at QB. Because they want to be fast on offense and they want to be able to run the option repeatedly. And so they cycle in and out their running backs a lot as a result. Michael Thomas is still going to be a start because he's got glue for hands, whether or not he gets 3 targets or 10 targets. Emmanuel Sanders, his targets were actually down with Hill, but he has upside now that Breeze isn't out there, actually throwing every pass short like he's Jay Cutler. So I think you can potentially play Emmanuel Sanders if you're in a deep league where you're kind of desperate at wide receiver. You're hoping beyond all hope that he turns in some sort of value for you that may be the level of a flex. I think if you're in a multi-flex league, you can rely a little bit more on him putting something up there for you.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got for Denver?
For Denver, I don't have too much here. Melvin Gordon is a limited upside running back too. He's getting the goal line carries. He had 2 touchdowns last week. So I think if they're going to score near the goal line, I think it's going to be Melvin Gordon. When it comes to wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, targets, they're still throwing the ball quite a bit, and that's what's going to make them fantasy relevant. For Jerry Jeudy, he's getting the targets very consistently. It's, he's not getting the catches. So he's more of a wide receiver 3 at best.
Well, I watched back some of that game.
Yeah.
the most recent one. And it's because the targets are
Those
10
targets
yards
aren't
over his
really-
head. They're
Yeah.
not targeting him, they're targeting the sideline.
The air.
Yeah, they're targeting the
Shaq.
bench over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. But Tim Patrick, I mean, we like Tim Patrick here on this podcast, and he's a flex or wide receiver 3 play. And I mean, this team is most likely going to be playing from behind for the majority of the rest of the year. So, and then Noah Fant is a tight end that has not scored since week 2, but he's still on that tight end 1 map just because he's still getting 5+ targets a game and getting a few yards. That's just how bad this tight end wasteland is. I run Noah Fant out there pretty much every week because that's what I have, and there hasn't been much else I can grab that can somewhat be consistent. So that's what we have for the Broncos. So up next we have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kyle, what you got on the Chiefs, sir?
You can start Pat Mahomes. He's going to find a way. Well, no, I mean, against Tampa Bay, they got a really good shot, I think, actually, because New Orleans managed to handle them. I think that Andy Reid and Kansas City can figure it out. Pat Mahomes, I mean, I'm sorry, you're gonna fire him.
No, I was just saying, he's a start every day.
Oh,
keep it moving. You just might hamper some of the expectations.
The donut, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the eclair. He's a flex at best this week, and that's based on the difficulty of the matchup. This matchup is actually 30th in points allowed to the running back position, so not a good spot here. But he is the guy getting the primary carries. Le'Veon Bell is just a fill-in kind of guy at this point for them. Tyreek Hill, fire him up. Hope he gets over 100 in a TD again for you, like he's consistently done all season long. He actually only broke 100 yards, I think, this last week or the week before for the first time this season. But he has just been consistent with touchdowns. It's repeated. It's bad. It's like crazy how just massive he's been in fantasy football this season. He's kind of flown under the radar because he's not getting those big smash plays, but he's just always in the end zone when he catches the ball. Yeah. Travis Kelce, you might have heard of this guy. You start your studs, and guess what? He is the only true tight end stud left in this league, apparently.
Yep.
Start your studs. If you got Travis Kelce, you didn't need me to tell you to start him. All right, Tampa Bay, what do you got?
Tom Brady, I would say he's a low-end quarterback 1 in this matchup. He's going to need a bounce back because, man, that looked pretty rough last week, but he's got the weapons, Kyle. So if you can trot somebody out there, maybe a little bit better than Tom Brady this matchup, definitely do that. But if you have to, low-end quarterback 1 would be your numbers you're probably looking for.
The term that keeps popping into my head every time I see him play is geriatric.
Yeah.
Lot of mistakes. Yeah, well, like he's not getting the ball out there fast enough. He's not getting it there, on time. He's not getting it there, period. Yeah. He thinks he's got extra downs when he doesn't. There's a bit of senility setting in, maybe. I don't know.
Well, with that, I mean, you're talking about just not getting the ball down the field. He is 0 for his last 19 on passes 20 yards down the field, Kyle. Yeah. And what that means is that drops Mike Evans down a little bit. But, I mean, him and Chris Godwin, their efficiency numbers are just down.
Yeah, but Deuces gets it done. Deuces gets it done. Mike Evans, old Deuces here.
Old Deuces.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. He doesn't need a whole lot. He just needs 2 yards, 2 TDs, 2 catches, 2 targets, whatever it is.
Made you a good week.
Yeah.
But both Evans, Godwin, and even AB are getting the targets, because they're throwing the ball constantly because they still, for some reason, just want to trot Tom Brady out there and just have
Bruce Arians was calling Tom Brady out again this week about Antonio Brown. He's like, I don't know. He was open.
Yep. But running backs wise, Ronald Jones, he's a running back 2 or a flex play. I mean, Leonard Fournette is just straight garbage. I know you said
oldest 25-year-old ever.
Yep. Oldest 25-year-old and has the vision of a 50-year-old when it comes to being on the field. It's Trent Richardson 2.0 again. It's all over. It's the same stuff, different day, man. But other than that, Rob Gronkowski is a touchdown dependent tight end 1, and just because you have to.
Everybody who's not named Travis Kelce, same thing, right?
Yeah.
All the tight ends.
That's pretty much all for tight ends, yeah. But that's it for that one. What do we got? Next matchup, we have the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins, Kyle?
All right. So I actually have to talk about two QBs here for the Dolphins. Tua, obviously, you're going to start him and hope that he gets things back in order. But he looked, I watched this game back and he looked bad outside of the pocket and trying to throw on the run. He was overthrowing the ball and it wasn't close. Like he was just inaccurate. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad, actually. And he did it the entire game. So they pull him out. There's some talk about it being an injury. Some talk about, we needed a spark. And so we brought Fitzpatrick in. He's not supposed to start, but I would keep an eye on whether or not Tua actually continues to struggle. I think that Fitzpatrick's not a play this week, most likely, because they're going to try to use the Jets as the confidence boost that Tua needs. But it's possible that if he does struggle, we find Fitzpatrick as the starter for the remainder of the year. We've seen it suggested, and we have suggested it as well, that the Dolphins have a lot of really high-value picks coming from Houston and a few other spots this year. And as a result, it's possible that they decide to abandon Tua or to at least keep Tua on the team and draft another QB early in the first round, trading up some picks. It's possible.
It is possible.
So they might try to tank to move their picks up a little bit, get a little bit higher value. Myles Gaskin, keep an eye on the practices this week because this is a juicy matchup to not fire him up if he is going to play. It's too juicy to miss out on that. So you got to keep an eye on that. Salvon Ahmed, this is a tricky situation for now. Gaskin is practicing in a red jersey. Ahmed has not been out there yet. He has shined when he's been on the field and he's been given a chance to lead, so that's good. But if he's too injured to go, you're going to miss out on a beautiful matchup, which is just unfortunate because he was clicking last week a little bit. He was getting the volume. He hadn't broken anything out, and then boom, he gets hurt and he's out.
He did come back, though. He did come back, and he did pretty well. Hampered. And that's the same injury why he's out right now in practice.
Yeah. So Jakeem Grant and Devontae Parker. Fire up Parker, obviously, and absolutely. Yeah. Jakeem Grant, I think it's a flex based on the matchup. Mike Gesicki, I'm firing him up, but only because of this matchup, really, truly. Like, I don't have him, so I'm not going to be starting him anywhere. Right. But I think that you can start him. I think you can just strictly because it's who? The worst. Let's dive in. Let's talk about him. Give it to me, Justin. Who do you have?
Oh, boy. This is going to – I already feel sick talking about this. My turkey's coming back. I'm like, gobble, just coming back. Frank Gore, he's a decent flex as LaMichael Pirine was placed on IR this week. And we all know this. Adam Gase, Mr. You-Know-Who, loves him some Frank Gore. So that's the only reason. Now, whenever we talk about upside on this podcast, we talk about high upside and all this stuff.
We pretty much mean everybody but Frank Gore.
Yes. I mean, he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. I mean, and just with all due respect to Frank Gore, it's just
and we actually mean it when we say that.
Yeah, I mean, I can say whatever I want now. Yeah. But other than that, for this Jets team, hey, Sam Darnold might play, but yeah, exactly. It is too hard to trust any wide receiver in this offense against this defense. And I mean, all the teams are playing this week as of right now. So it's like,
it's a long way of saying Frank Gore and nobody else.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Why? Because the Jets are the worst. That's right. All right. So
every time.
Moving on here, we've got Arizona at New England. Kyler Murray, you know what? Start him. Don't expect a ton, but his rushing provides an upside for you. That should keep him in the QB1 conversation for this week, not QB1 overall, but the QB1 through 12 kind of QB1.
Right.
Kenyon Drake, what the heck? He only touched the ball 11 times last week on the run, but he did find pay dirt.
Yeah.
But this week will be a bit tougher. So I don't know if he's going to find that pay dirt again for you. Chase Edmonds, he's only reliable with value in fantasy football in PPR leagues, in my opinion, because he isn't seeing carries enough to provide a baseline that's reliable. I think he had 2 carries last week. All of his damage was done in the passing game. And I should have seen it coming. I should have known it. He got started against me. So, of course, he's going to hit his only friggin' touchdown of the year or whatever it was and, get 20 yards and, whatever. All right. So, DeAndre Hopkins.
You're not bitter.
Not at all. Not at
No.
all. I lost because of my own decision. I had like any one guy. If I had just started any one guy on my bench ahead of the guys that I was like, maybe I should pull this guy out. Yeah. If I had done that, I win my game, win my matchup. That is straight up on me. It's the last 2 weeks in a row that that's happened. All right. So DeAndre Hopkins, this is a tougher week that isn't terrible, but he should provide at least wide receiver 2 numbers for you. I think that you can hope for that upside wide receiver 1 week for you. Christian Kirk, this is a flex wide receiver 4 at best this week. In my opinion,
I think Stephon Gilmore is going to be back. I think in this matchup. So
well, the thing was
is
that
a fan of Stephon.
I actually like. We broke it down a little bit in the offseason about how there's actually tape on him that shows you exactly how to beat him, and he was getting beaten until his injury happened. He was getting beaten repeatedly this season. I think that the tape is out. The word is out. I'm wondering if he figured that out as well while he's been out. So maybe he shifts instead of always pressing from the outside whenever a wide receiver lines up outside the numbers, or outside alignment, outside hip, that sort of stuff. Like you can determine exactly like where he's standing. You can determine what sort of route you need to do. And so I hope he figured that out. I don't know. He was very predictable, but I don't want to dwell on it. What do you have on New England?
For New England, I have Cam Newtown as a decent low-end QB1 in I think a fast-paced game. I think this is what it's going to shape out to be. But when it comes to running backs, I think James White is a flex start in PPR leagues because Rex Burkhead is down. Nasty knee injury. Kyle, he had a knee. That knee looked like Jell-O after that play. But the other running back, Damian Harris, running back 2 or a flex. I mean, he's way more valuable, of course, in the standard scoring leagues because I guess can't catch the ball, even though he did that a lot.
Just don't target him. Don't target him.
Yeah, they just don't do it for some reason. But when it comes to wide receivers, man, this is another tough one out there. Julian Edelman is still not back, but Jacoby Myers had a huge regression last week. He was getting like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 targets, numbers, and everything, but he really regressed back, and he was only like the 4th option on that team last week.
Yeah, I mean, there was like some N'Keal Harry targeting there going.
There was N'Keal Harry,
Damiere Byrd.
Yeah, he had a big game. But if you're going to have to start a wide receiver for the Patriots, I still would say Jacoby Myers would be the guy, just based off of the more recent games. But that's all I have for the Patriots, man.
All right.
Yep.
All right, let's move on here. We got Carolina at Minnesota. I'll take Carolina right off the top here. Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's going to be back and starting, guys. So I think you could fire him up in this matchup. Absolutely, he can. It's Minnesota. Dallas beat them. Oh man! So he gets to go against his own former team with a decent opportunity, right? Yeah. And you gotta love that. I mean, that revenge. They kept him through his injury, so he's got probably some good feelings toward them. But then they were like, "Yeah, but we don't think you can do it anymore. We think Kirk Cousins is our guy. So you go ahead, go down to New Orleans, win 5 of 6 starts." And then go get that big contract with Carolina. Yeah. So he might have a little bit. There might be something sitting right there.
Yeah. Wouldn't you think Minnesota would be like, all right, well, Kirk Cousins isn't the guy. We shouldn't pay him again, right? You would think that's what you would do.
No, it's Minnesota. They extended the dude. They're like, no, we need 2 more years. Yeah. And we might guarantee those too. All right, so Christian McCaffrey, he's back at practice, but Matt Rule has already indicated that he does not expect Christian McCaffrey to play this week. So I have a drop for that. I'm sorry, Justin. You won last year. Our league has a rule that if you win the consolation bracket, you get first pick in our draft the next year, and you won the consolation bracket last year and had the first pick, and of course. Spent it on none other than Christian McCaffrey and promptly regretted that. All right. So Mike Davis, don't expect better than back end running back 2, in my opinion, this week from from Mike Davis, Miles Davis, right? Let's just say he's going to go out there and try to play some jazz, but it's going to be off key. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. This is a great matchup. These two should do well. I think that these two guys, along with Teddy Bridgewater, are just going to murder this week. And Curtis Samuel, flex, wide receiver 4 territory. That's about it.
Yeah.
You might see an Ian Thomas sighting. You might, but I'm not starting.
No.
All right. What you got on Minnesota?
All right. The aforementioned Kirk Cousins. Cousins. He's a decent play in a 2 QB or super flex league only.
You like that, Kirk?
You like that? I don't know. You don't like that in fantasy football.
Yeah.
But I like this, and that's Dalvin Cook. We always talk about him. Start your studs. All right, I'm going to move on to the next one. This is where it gets a little interesting for wide receiver. Adam Thielen, as of this recording, he was placed on the COVID IR list. He tested positive and then a negative. So it could have been a false positive. Maybe by the time you're watching this, that it's already been changed, or maybe he is going to play. So if he does play, of course, you're going to start him. If he doesn't, that just means a bigger uptick for Justin Jefferson. But I wouldn't start anybody else taking up the other targets or anything like that, because the other options are just,
Yeah.
I mean, the tight ends are just, they cancel each other out, even in a low.
Is Irv Smith
offense.
back? He was out last week.
No, he was back last week.
Oh, he was back. Okay.
And that's
the week. It was the week before. No, but his impact is in the running game where he holds. And Dalvin Cook had a down week the week he was not there. Just saying.
Not saying, just saying.
Not saying, just saying. All right, Sunday Night Football. We've got Chicago traveling to Green Bay so that they can notch that loss right after the turkey. Here we go. QBs. You're not starting anybody. You're not. Or you're going to handle the Bears. Okay.
Yeah, I'll handle the Bears so you get your Packers. So David Montgomery, he is back from concussion protocol, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. There's other running backs out there.
No, sir. I don't like it.
Until he proves otherwise, there's not much time left in the season to prove us otherwise. And all teams are playing right now, so there's plenty of running back options out there. I would start Frank Gore over David Montgomery.
Ooh. Write that down.
Yep. So Allen the Proof Robinson actually made my fade of the week, since he should get the Jair Alexander treatment. So start if you have to, but you should probably look elsewhere in this matchup. And then Jimmy Graham, good old Jimmy Graham. We're talking about tight end wastelands always. I mean, if you have to, touchdown dependent tight end 1, I guess. But we don't know who's going to be throwing the ball. I mean, both are very mediocre options, but both Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky are hobbled with injuries. So,
yeah,
I mean, you would think they've been hobbled with injuries all year long because of how bad they are.
Maybe they have been. Maybe that's the excuse that they end up going with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or at least they don't know how to pick a quarterback. I don't know.
Yep.
That could be it too. What do you have for the Packers?
I've actually got a lot more starts than I thought I would going into this, but there's actually a lot of reason for that. So Aaron Rodgers is obviously going to be a start. He's produced against tough defenses all year long, other than Tampa Bay, where they had some struggles. And so he always finds a way to win against Chicago. Usually he runs one in against Chicago for good measure. It seems to be any game of consequence against Chicago that he finds pay dirt of his own. And so, yeah. And to all the Bears fans who think there's holding on every play, there's literally a documentary that was made by ESPN about how they're not holding and how it's just actually a new manner of blocking that has spread across the entire league that was developed by Green Bay. So you might want to look that one up, because all of you guys are just like, they're holding all the time. It's not holding. There's a reason they don't throw the flag.
What about
David? It's not holding.
What about David Bakhtiari, or however you say his name, false starting on every play? He's getting like that Tariq Glenn, who is, I mean, definitely old reference for people out there.
Yeah, maybe, but
it's that like millisecond start early.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't actually broken down and like actually looked at when the ball moves and when he moves. I don't know. I can see that left side of the line movement, though. I understand what you're talking about there. Mm-hmm. You see that in a couple spots here and there. And I think there were a couple instances against Indianapolis last week where I was like, oh, I think that might have been a false start.
That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
Oh, you got away with that one.
It was a little close. I like sometimes when you look at it and you're like, oh, that might, and then they play it back and you're like, oh, no, actually he moved when the ball moved. That's interesting. He's actually there's a part, I will say that part of the reason that he does that, and this is a little bit inside football, literally. He's the one who is during the play, usually turning his head and yelling the play clock to Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is watching the play clock constantly. And when it ticks to 0, he figures I'm moving. Either it's a false start or it's a delay of game either way.
Right.
And so that's what he's kind of doing, because they do go down to 0 a lot, which I think is not a great game plan.
No.
Aaron Jones, this is not a great matchup, but he has been virtually unstoppable this season when he's been healthy. So I think you still go out there, you start him up, you fire him up, and you expect the best from him because he's brought it consistently. Devontae Adams, you're not sitting him down. You're not sitting him down. He's wide receiver 1 for the season. I don't see why that's going to change at any point. And he's likely, in my opinion, to be one of the keys for them to win this game, as he is regularly. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I think you could flex him because he has, here's some interesting stats. He has the second most plays of 40 yards or more in his first 3 seasons in Green Bay history. I think Greg Jennings is the only one who has more.
Yep.
Devontae Adams had 2 in his first 3 years. Jordy Nelson had 2. Donald Driver had, I think, 3 of over 40 yards, right? This dude's at like 15 in his first 3 seasons. Like when he catches the ball, it's for 40 yards.
It's
like,
downfield.
Yeah, it's down the field. So he's going to look to have a bounce back game after the disappointing end of the Indianapolis game. But he was effective in every other play during that game other than that one. And I think it's ridiculous for anyone to blame him for the outcome of that game. Rodgers didn't see Tunyon in the end zone at the end of regulation, and so he threw the wrong route, or he threw the pass to the wrong guy and overthrew that ball. There's the fumble on the kickoff or punt or whatever it was. There's a number of plays that were just problematic. So I wouldn't lay the blame at him and people going after him. That's just nuts. But I think you can start him here. I think he's a flex. I think you want to have some better options though at the same time. Yeah. Robert Tonyan, this is a decent spot for him here actually. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to try to make it up to him for missing him in the back of the end zone, as I mentioned before. But this defense, actually, if there's a major weakness, it is to the tight end. So I would look for him down the seam a couple times during this game, maybe even finding his way into the end zone. And that's going to, we got one more game. The Monday night game here. We've got Seattle at Philadelphia.
Yep.
I'll take Seattle here. You're starting Russell Wilson if you have him, and you're hoping he puts up a solid number for you. But you might have to sweat your game out because he's probably a big part of your team. So you might have to sweat the whole weekend out until Monday night to get your win.
What's his name?
Is Russell Wilson.
Thank you.
That's right. That's the correct pronunciation here on this podcast. Chris Carson, welcome back. You have to imagine that they're going to run a lot with him out there, right? I don't think that Pete Carroll has the ability to control himself, and he's just going to say, no, just keep giving him the ball. Just keep giving him the ball. And then fourth quarter rolls around. Russ, just keep throwing the ball. Just keep throwing the ball. Yep. Who's going to throw the ball to? The other guys that you're starting, and that's Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. This is not necessarily a great matchup for either of them, but with Lockett, you're going to hope you're going to have to probably consider shying away from him, but you're probably not going to shy away from him. He's been in a bit inconsistent lately, but you know what he's capable of. So you're still going to trot him out there and hope that he gets it done for you. With DK, you're watching the future wide receiver 1 in fantasy football either next year or the year after.
Yeah.
But the only way to prove that he's going to be that is to capitalize in tougher matchups like this one.
No
tougher
matter who
spots.
the matchup is.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has to be able to dominate it. It's back end of his second year, heading into the third year, right? This is where the jump is supposed to start taking place. And so you want to see him make that move starting this week. Okay, guys? And we want to see him prove it. You know what? This is a great spot, though, here. This is a great spot. Not a bad matchup for the tight end. You would love to see something a little bit more reliable, but we've got him. Big country. It's Will Dissly. It's
Will Dissly,
sir. That's right. Start Will Dissly. Fire up Will Dissly. Will Dissly's going to fire you up. Yeah, he is. That's right. It's Will Dissly time. I'm going to
write
leave it
that
at that.
down.
Write that down.
Oh, yeah. 6 TDs in his first 4 games last season. That's beautiful.
Come on down. Greg Olson's out for the rest of the year from what it looks like. He said he might make it back, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So that could be an opportunity for him. But on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Miles Sanders is a start. I mean, Sanders. He should get you close to running back 1 production. When he's been healthy, that's kind of where he's been falling. Usually around the low end running back 1, but he's still getting you those numbers. When it comes to wide receiver, man, Jalen Reagor, he's a wide receiver 3 at best. And I mean, if I could, I would probably start somebody else. And then Travis Fulgham, man, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, he was put up there on a pedestal after a few weeks, and now he has fallen hard. And now he's
but we warned everybody. We said when Reagor was coming back, he was going to lose targets, and he was going to fall back and not be the wide receiver 1 on this team at some point.
Yep. And then tight ends, man. Zach Ertz may be back. He could play, but I mean, he's been pretty much butt for the whole year whenever he was playing. I mean, Dallas Goedert was out playing him, and Goddard's looked pretty good these last couple of weeks. He's been up there. I think he's been top 5 tight end for the last 2 weeks. So I would start him even if Ertz is back, because I'm sure he's going to be on a snap count. So that's what I got. Carson Wentz, I mean, this should be a great matchup for regular quarterbacks, but he's just not
there's a lot of talk that he's going to get benched. So
Jalen Hurts, come on down.
Yeah. Everybody's like, what's it going to take to bench him for Hurts?
I mean, because he's already shown quite a bit of
he admitted. He said, I'm not good enough. He admitted it a couple weeks ago. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for the matchups for week 12. That is everything. That's all 5 episodes. It's going to end the week for us here. I will make sure to throw onto the screen the last matchups that we did yesterday, as well as the I'm going to throw the Thursday Night Football episode on there because it has the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game.
Yep.
And so that way you have that. So I'll drop that on the screen now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. That way you are notified every time we upload this podcast. We have a lot of fun making it. We have a lot of fun doing it. If you like answering your questions, make sure you throw a question down below. We'll answer that and we'll try to help you win that championship. Thanks for being a fan of The Upside. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you guys.